Hey everybody, it's Rami Marks, your Tangled Yogi out here in Northern California. And today we're going to be doing this really fun tangle. I'm calling it the Polynesian Star because it's actually based off of a Polynesian tattoo design that I found, and I just really loved it and started playing with it, and it turned into this really beautiful star. So what we are going to need for class today, we are going to be using a pencil that doesn't have an eraser because there are no mistakes in Zentangle. And then we're actually going to be working with a new pen. Now you can continue using your Micron if you like, but I recently saw another tangler using this Uniball I, and it says micro on it here, and you can see that when it says micro, that means it's a really small nib, and I've really enjoyed working with this pen. I've worked with it a couple of times, and I thought I would just bring it to everybody's attention. It's a very nice pen to use if you're looking for an alternative to microns. So there's that. And then finally, I've got my Signo Uniball white pen, my favorite pen. So there you have it. You could use your, let's see here, the Jelly Roll white if you want to work with that. But I just really prefer these pens overall. I just think the white is just that much more bright. Okay, so there you have it, Polynesian Star. Let's get started. Okay, so for those of you who know me, you know that I like to begin class by doing a centering meditation here. So let's get ourselves comfortable. Go ahead and allow yourself to sit back into your chair and allow your feet to make connection with the floor here. Allow your spine to grow comfortably tall, but not hard. And just take a moment to allow your eyes to close. Allow your shoulders to melt away from your ears, softening in your chest and in your belly. Letting go through the hips and the legs, relaxing through the thighs, the knees, the calves, the ankles, and the feet. Softening through the shoulders, the upper arms, the elbows, the lower arms, the wrists, and the hands. Allowing your attention to fall on your breath here for a moment. Feeling the breath as it rolls in, and feeling the breath as it rolls out. Noticing the breath on the inhalation through the nostrils. Feeling the breath as it travels through the throat and down into the lungs. And as you exhale, feeling the lungs as they gently collapse, feeling the breath as it leaves the throat and out through the nostrils again. Following the breath in through the nose, throat, and lungs. Following the breath out through the lungs, the throat, and the nostrils. Let's take 3 more breaths just right here, following the breath in and following the breath out. Following the breath in and following the breath out. Last one right here. And releasing. Feeling the entire body at ease here in this space, and noting where relaxation is present. Maybe you feel it in the shoulders. Maybe you feel it in the belly. wherever you feel it, just acknowledging it. So as we practice today, if at any moment you feel like your shoulders are climbing up towards your ears or you're holding your breath, see if you can come back to this place of just relaxing and breathing. Let's go ahead and take one more deep breath in right here. Let it go with a sigh. Beginning to wiggle through the fingertips and wiggle through the toes. And gently blinking your eyes open. And noticing your space. And when you feel ready, let's begin to tangle. So I just want to talk about the paper that we're going to use here for a moment. I'm going to be using the Brown Sugar Maryland tile. This is from tangledyogi.com. There's a shop there where you can pick up all of your tiles that we carry, and I love this particular tile. I've got a love affair going with it. It's really fun. The colors are really beautiful. They kind of pop off of this tan, and I can use my white pen, which I've been having a lot of fun with lately. The paper is super smooth, heavy cardstock, so it doesn't bend or doesn't move around too much. It's just a really, really fun tile. So go ahead and check it out. If you don't have the tiles, you can go ahead and just do a diamond in your sketch pad and play with it that way and see if this is something that you might want to check into. I have a bunch of these and I just think they're really great. Okay, so let's get started. So I have my diamond here, and you can see that I've started the regular old-fashioned Zentangle way. I've got a dot in each corner here, and you can see that my dots are pretty shallow into the corner. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to connect my dots, just like so. And I'm going to turn the tile to make it easy for my hand. I'm just turning and connecting and turning and connecting. So you can see that I have this really nice thin border, not too big. I just really wanted to focus on the centerpiece here. So we're going to begin by making our string, and I'm just going to go from the top to the bottom. And then I'll turn my tile. I'll that come out just a little bit for you. And I'm going to do this again. So I'm just going to go ahead and connect down to the bottom. And there it kind of looks like a kite, which I kind of like. It gives it kind of a fun feeling. So now what we're going to do is we're going to focus right into the center here. So I'm going to come in, and right in the center I'm going to make a circle about the size of a dime. And you can still see that I'm working with my pencil here. This is just part of my string. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to aura around that circle one time, just like so. So that is our complete string. We've divided up the piece. We have these different quadrants that we're going to work in, and we're going to get ourselves going. So if you need to catch up to me, go ahead and pause me here. Otherwise, we're going to keep on rolling. Okay, so I talked a little bit about this new pen that I've been working with. I saw another tangler using it, and I really like it. This is the Uniball I, and you can see that it says micro here. There is a Uniball I that says fine, but that's more like an 08 in the micron world. This one is more like the micron PN, which I really use a lot. So what I want to do is I want to show you what that nib looks like. It's a pretty fine nib, which is great. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take that out and I'm going to get started. So all I'm doing is what I call an overdraw, and this is just to help guide my hand so that I'm not intimidated by the circle. I find that when I start out with a pencil and I'm drawing a circle, I'm not as intimidated. So that's just the way that I do it. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to aura around now. And you can do this however it feels best for your hand. And you'll notice that mine isn't perfect, and it doesn't matter to me, because when I go in and I do my puddling later on, it's really not going to make that much of a difference. Okay. So with that said, we are going to get ourselves started. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn my tile the long way here, and I'm going to zoom in towards the top. So you can see that I'm in that upper corner, and I'm just going to make a dot right here, and then I'm going to make a dot coming down about, I'm going to say, a good healthy inch right there. And what we're going to do is we're going to make the shape of a leaf or the shape of a fairly large diamond, however you want to do it. I like to think of this as like a nice big leaf, and I'm just coming in and making that big leaf shape right here, just like so. I'm going to flip my tile and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side here. So here I am. I've gone to the other side, and now I'm going to go and do a nice healthy inch, 2 dots right there, and I'm going to go ahead and do that nice leaf-like shape right up at the top. And you can see that I'm using that guide just a little bit to help me. Once I have those 2 leaves in there, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to continue down the piece a little bit. I'm going to zoom out just a little so you can see what I'm up to here. So I'm going to come in about the halfway point at the bottom of the leaf. Can everybody see that? Nice halfway point, 2 dots. Now I'm going to make another dot about 3/4 of an inch right here. I'm going to give this leaf 2 legs, and you can see the legs are coming out at a diagonal angle here. Then I'm going to look at those, and they look like they're about, I would say, 1/2 inch. Now I'm going to take those legs and I'm going to connect them to this dot right there. So let's do it again. All I'm going to do is come to the halfway point at the bottom of the diamond here. Then I'll do another inch. I'm coming out to the sides with those diagonal legs, about 1/2 inch on those. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to connect them right here. Last time right here, coming halfway, make those diagonal legs that come out. Now I'm going to make a dot right on the side of that circle that's down there, and I'm going to connect to that. So here I go, 1 and 2, just like so. So it really creates a really beautiful pattern. I'm very partial to this pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn my tile. Here we are. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the same thing that I did on the last side. So I'm halfway in, making those 2 dots, coming out 1/2 inch at a diagonal angle here, making a dot that's about 1 inch down, and now we are going to connect. 1 and 2. Coming halfway, make 2 dots, make a dot about 1 inch down. We'll go out 1/2 inch on each leg, and then we're going to connect just like so. Here comes the next one. Halfway, halfway. Go ahead and make your dot on the side of the circle here. Legs come out at a diagonal angle about 1/2 inch, and then we connect. I'm going to turn that so you can see what I've been up to here. Isn't that a really beautiful pattern? I just really love it. So here we go. We're going to continue again. I'm going to come into the side here and just make a little dot, and you'll notice that I have my little guideline right here. I'm going to go to the halfway point on that guideline. Now remember that leaf that we did up at the top? We're going to do it right here. So I'm just going to make that leaf and come right to that dot as best I can. And once again, here's the other side. Now I'm going to do the same thing that I did with these right here. So I'm just going to make a little dot here and a little dot here. And then I'm going to make my dot connecting to the side of the circle, making those legs come out at a 1/2 inch diagonal angle here. And all I'm going to do is connect and connect, just like so. I'm going to flip my tile, and I'm going to do it all over again. Here we go. Making the dot up at the top for myself, coming in at the halfway point. Once I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make that leaf-like shape, and I'm going to make that leaf-like shape again. Now I'm going to make 2 dots, 1 on either side, And I'm going to let them come out at a diagonal angle here, about 1/2 inch in length, making my dot up at the bottom here, right where that circle is, and I'm just going to go ahead and connect. So there you have it. There is the beginning of our Polynesian star. If you need to pause me here, this is a great place to do it. Take a moment to breathe, relax, and enjoy what you're doing. I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so we are going to continue on here. And I'm just focusing on the inside now, these internal pieces here. And so I have these 2 diamonds. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a dot about 1/4 of the way down each line. You can see right here, I'm 1/4 of a way down from the top of that line. All I'm going to do with those 2 dots is I'm going to make a little arc, not unlike half moon, right? So that's all I did there, was just a little arc. And then the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to do a very nice tight aura on that arc, just like so. So there's my tight aura. So now some of you are aware that there's a really fun tangle called a ruckus, and I love to do this tangle. It's one of my favorites. So what I'm going to do is right here in this spot, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a nice diagonal line coming out of the top of that arc. And I'm going to do another one right over here. And you'll notice that I'm auraing each one of those. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do the same thing right in here. Once I've done those 3, you can see that I've got some nice space in between them. All I'm going to do is I'm going to do an aura now of the original arc that I did. So you can see I'm going 1, lifting up and coming out the other side, 2, lifting up, coming out the other side, and 3. See how that happened? Easy peasy. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to aura again. So I'm going to aura the first one right here. I'm going to go 1 and 2. And then I'm going to go 1 and 2. And then I'll do one more. 1 and 2. So now I've auraed those pieces, and we're going to aura now that original arc one more time. So I'm going to come right from that side of that diamond there, coming out, coming back in. So I'm just going in between those lines, and you can see that that creates such an interesting little dynamic little design there. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the same thing all over again. So I'm just going to turn my tile just like so. And I'm going to do it all over again. So I'm right here in between these 2 pieces, and I'm going to go ahead and come down 1/4 of the way on each side, right? Now I'm going to make that arc not unlike half moon. Then I'll go ahead and I'll aura the arc just like so. Now, once I have that, I'm going to go ahead and start to make the lines of our a ruckus here. So I'm just coming out at a diagonal angle here, and I'll do one up here, and I'll do one over here. And you can see that I'm auraing each line so that now they're nice and defined. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to aura now this original arc. Aura just means outline. So if you don't have a whole lot of Zentangle speak in you, that's all it means, is that you're just outlining. So there it is, going in and out. Call that a holly baw because of the tangle holly baw, where you're going out and under, out and under. And then I'll go ahead and I'll aura these lines once again. So I'm just going to go 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 And here comes the last one right here too. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to aura this line one more time. You can see I'm going to have to go out and under, so I'll stop when I get close to the line, coming back and in, and then I'll go back, and then I'll go back. So now I've got that nice aura all the way around. So we're going to do these two guys right over here. So I'm just going to flip my tile, and I'm going to do the same thing all over again. Let's make this nice and big so you can see what I'm up to. So I'm coming about 1/4 of the way down, and then I'm making my arc. And you can see I'm not going too far past where these diamond points are. I'm going to go ahead and aura the arc. Here come our diagonal lines, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2. Now I'm going to go ahead and aura that original arc. I'm outlining the original arc, and I'm weaving here, so I'm going out and under, out and under, out and under, out and under, just like so. Now we're going to aura these little lines right here, so we're just going to go 1 and 2, 1 and 2, last one right here. And there you have it. So now we're going to go and finish up this last side. So I'm just flipping my tile to make it easy for my hand. If you're right-handed and you want to do it on the right side, go for it. I'm one of those people that says, do what makes it easy for you. I happen to be left-handed, so this is how I do it. So I'm just going to go ahead and arc out, going ahead and auraing. And then once again, one line, nice diagonal. Here comes the next one right here. And the last one. And now we aura. So we're auraing the original arc, coming out, weaving, so that we're not crossing those lines. Here we go again. Now we're going to aura on either sides of those lines. So here I go. They're like rays of the sun, really. And here I go again. And one more. Ooh, that one got a little bend in it. Almost got away from me. And then here we go. We're going to do one last aura right here. So we'll go 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2. Pretty cool. I like this one a lot. It's a lot of fun. So if you need to pause me right here, this is a great place to do it. And I'll see you in a minute. Don't forget to relax and breathe. Enjoy what you're doing. See you soon. So for those of you who know me, and some of you do, you know that I can't leave a tangle alone without doing some tipple in it. Tipple is one of my favorite tangles, and so here we go. I'm going to add a couple of tipples in. So you can see, I'm going to zoom in here on the top one. And we're going to be really random with this tipple. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a nice medium-sized tipple right here. And then I'm going to do another one right over here. So 2 medium-sized tipples. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to let my tipple effervesce. And what that means is if you've ever looked at champagne, how the bubbles are just flying up, they're kind of effervescing. So I'm just going to get a little random and I'm going to make these tipple maybe a little bit different size and let them float up like champagne. So you can see that I'm just letting them kind of float off. And then I'm going to come over to the opposite side and do the same thing. So I'm just going to come in here and do a nice medium-sized tipple right there, and a nice medium-sized tipple right here. And then I'm going to go ahead and make some of those effervescent tipple, just going off into the ether, as it were. So there you see, kind of gives it a festive feeling. And if you even want to let your tipple kind of float out into your ruckus, that's this tangle right here. the ruckus. You could maybe do like a tipple right in here, and then maybe a tipple down over here or over here. How about one right in there? That's kind of fun. So I'm just kind of going off the rails here a little bit and having some fun with it. So you can see that that just makes it kind of fun and festive and kind of sparkly. So I'm going to flip this and I'm going to do the same thing to the opposite side. So here I go. I'm going to come in here, nice medium tipple, another medium tipple right here. We'll do one over here, and we'll do one over here. So now we've got our mediums in. Now we're going to effervesce. So effervescing, letting it just kind of float off. Same thing right over here. I might put one down there. And then maybe I'll float some into our ruckus. Fun, fun, fun. Make your tipple big enough that you can work inside of them because you'll want to shade those a little bit later. Mine are pretty small, but I can get a little bit of color in there. That's pretty good. All right, so if you feel the need to pause me here, this is a great place to do it. Take a deep breath, relax. We're here to have fun. I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my border to this. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, why didn't you add it sooner? And I just wasn't sure if my tipple was going to break my border or not. So I always leave room for that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm just going to overdraw right onto that border. You can see that I'm going to start to connect in between the two here. And then I'm going to turn my tile and do the same thing again. So here I go. I'm letting my hand just kind of float down the outside. And you want to have nice light tension on your pen because the harder you press, the harder it is to control that pen, yeah? So now I'm going to come in here and just let it float all the way down. Coming on over, and I'm going to do it again right in here. So there you have it. We've created the border, which is really quite lovely. So that is our ink portion of the tangle here. We are going to get ready to do some color. You know it's my favorite. Oh, you know what? I misspoke. We forgot one part. We forgot to put in our detailing and in our petals. So let's do that before we even get a chance to get out that color box. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in right here. You can see I'm right in the middle of that, that circle or that arc line on the circle. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to come up and out. And then before I get to the end, I'm going to go ahead and make a circle. And then I'm going to puddle it in. And then I'll turn my tile and I'll do the same thing again. Come to the halfway point, coming out, and make your circle and puddle it in. Last part right here, turning around. Go ahead, make your circle, puddle it in. And the final one right here. Make your circle, puddle it in. Now we are ready for color. I guess I just was too excited to color. All right, I'll see you in a minute. Catch up with me and let's go for it. Okay, so we are ready to do some color here. And what I want you to start to think about is the section that's right in here. So we have this area where all of our little lines are with the little circles on the end of them. And what I want to do is I want to talk about color theory here for a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the idea of when you have a color that's really, really light, like this light green that I'm putting down, you have three colors in one pencil. So you have your light, you have your medium, and you have your dark. But when you're working with a really light color like this, sometimes it doesn't necessarily show up. So you want to have a complementary color nearby, and what that means is something that is a little bit darker that will give you a little bit of edge with shading. So if you're working with yellow, you may want to have an orange nearby. If you're working with a lavender, you may want to have a darker purple nearby. If you're working with a pink, you may want to have a red nearby. So you get the idea, yeah? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start by laying down some color in one of these quadrants right in here. And I'm going to make this nice and big so that you can see it. So I'm coming in with this really pretty kind of minty green. It's almost like a chartreuse green. And you can see that I'm laying down that color into the piece here. And I'm using a little bit of pressure with it because it is such a light color. So it doesn't have a whole lot of viscosity to it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my darker color, now that I've got that light color in, and I'm going to go with medium tension now, all through in here. Now watch, I'm going to go about halfway up the piece here, bringing in that medium tension, because I have already that darker color in my hand. I don't have to press too hard to make it really dark. And you can see that I'm working it in a circular like motion, and I'm kind of tapering it off at the end when I get towards the edge there. You can see that it kind of blends off. Now, when I come down towards the bottom, I'm giving it a little bit more tension, so I get a little bit more of a darker green color. You can see that it's a lot richer and a lot deeper. Now, to blend it out, I'm just kind of circling out a little bit and starting to blend away as I get closer to the outside edge. You can see that kind of softens it up a little bit. Now, most of you have a white colored pencil in your colored pencil box. I happen to have a Prisma white colored pencil. A charcoal white will not work with this technique, just so you know. What I'm going to do with this white pencil is I'm going to come in and I'm very gently now going to add a little bit of that white into that medium green so that I'm blending the lightest color in with the medium color. And you can see that I'm getting a really nice glow. If you've ever taken my, my Lotus class, you know that this is a technique that I use a lot on tan tiles. So you can see that it has that really nice glow there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you do the rest of these just like that. And I'll see you in a minute. Remember to relax your shoulders, take a nice deep breath, and I'll see you soon. Okay, so you can see that I've had a chance to get that color in there, and it has a really nice glowing quality to it. I really like that. So we're going to start to work inside of our little diamonds in here, and I want you to think of a nice contrasting color to go with your piece. So whatever you're working with, you want to pick a color that's going to contrast off of that. So because I'm working with green, I'm going to take a purple and bring a purple into it. So I've got this kind of light magenta-y color, and then I've got this nice kind of dark, almost burgundy color that I'm going to use with it. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with the lightest color first. And I'm just going to start by going into these diamonds with a really nice light tension. I'm just going in and I'm shading in with the lightest tension possible into that piece right in here. And we're gonna skip now one, and we're gonna go to the next one. So you can see that I'm skipping and going to the next one. So I've got that nice light purple going on, and then I've skipped one and I've got another purple right there. Now what we're going to start to do is we're going to start to use a little bit of medium tension with that color. Now you'll notice that because this color has more viscosity, I can do medium tension with the same pencil. Normally, if it was too light, I wouldn't be able to do it with the same pencil, but because I have this color that has such a nice viscosity to it, a good body of color, I can. So you can see what I've done is I've created a shadow here with that medium tension. The shadow is of this over this. Same thing over here. So I'm just going to go in And I'm going to give that a nice shadow with that medium tension and really get that going. Now I'm going to switch over to this darker color, and I'm going to start to really hug that dark line that is right underneath that that tip of that spear there. Yeah, so I've got that there. I've got that nice glowing color now that's really hugging that black line, giving that such a nice glow. What we're going to do next is I'm going to grab this white color, and I'm just going to start to use it so that I can get a really nice kind of soft pinkish hue at the tip of the spear. And I'm letting it kind of mix in with that medium tension, and it's starting to give it a glow. Can you see that? So I'm just mixing it in. And for those of you who took my my honeycomb lotus class, this technique is going to look very familiar to you. So that's what we're going to do, and we're going to do that on this side as well, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so you can see that I've had a chance to work in through here, and now we're going to address these two guys right here. So I'm going to take that same purple and do the same thing in here. So I'm just going to grab it and go in and just do that light shading in here. And you can see that I'm just doing the same exact technique on this particular piece here. So I'm going in, shading it in. Now I'm going to give it that medium tension, just like so. And then I'll go in with that darker color and see if I can get a little bit more depth out of it. So I'm going to grab that darker color, going in, giving it a little bit of depth right around the tip of that leaf that's right there. And then I'll grab that white, and with that white I'm going to start to blend in now that light with that medium shade. So you can see that's just how I did it on the other two. So go ahead and do this one, and I'll see you in a minute. Take a deep breath, exhale it out, relax your shoulders, have a good time. I'll see you soon. Okay, so you can see I've had a chance to get those two done. Now what we're going to do is we're going to focus on these guys right here. So we're going to use the same technique, but we're using a contrasting color yet again. So I have this really beautiful kind of cerulean blue that I'm working with. And same technique in here. So I'm just going in, lightest tension first, getting in there, laying down that color nice and light. Now, because this is a darker color, I need to be very mindful not to lay down too heavy-handedly, because you can always go darker later, but it's much harder to get out of the dark once you've got it in there. So I've got this color in, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with a very medium tension, make that shadow come all the way around. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to lay down extra pressure now with that darker color right around the tip of the spear here. So you can see that that gives that a little bit of depth. Now what I'm going to do is I'll come back in with that white, and make sure that your pencil is clean, because you don't want to bring any other color in from the other that can pick up from the white over in the pink into the blue. So all I'm doing now is I'm just lightly with that white pencil starting to work over that blue and see if I can get that nice kind of blend with that medium and the darker, or rather the medium and the lighter color. So you can see that that kind of picks up and really gives that a nice pop. So we're going to do that over here on the opposite side. So take a deep breath, relax, and go ahead and do the opposite side. Okay, so we're going to start to work now inside the leaves in here. So you can see I've got these leaves in all 4 points. I'm going to take this same blue, and one of the things that I talk about a lot in my classes is carrying color. So I'm going to take this blue and I'm going to bring it up into the leaves in here. So I'm going to go very, very lightly into these leaves with that blue and just work around the dunce cap and those little petals in there. Now once I've done that, I'm just going to add a little bit of darkness right into the corners around the dunce cap and the petals, just to give that a little bit of pop. Now I'll grab that white pen, or that white pencil rather, and I'm going to blow this up so you can really see it. Now I'll go in with that white pencil and see if I can't get that blue to start to pop with that white pencil, and you can see that it just wants to go, and it just creates a beautiful effect. Isn't that gorgeous? I just love how that works out. So you can see I've got a few places like in here that I can add just a touch of that blue and just get it to go. And then if I can get in there with that little white pencil, I'm good to go. So you can see that that really pops. And if I want to dip in a little bit into that darker blue, I can, and just blend it out a little bit. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do these in the same fashion. So go around and do those just like I did this one, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so we're going to start to work with that tangle a ruckus, and I'm going to introduce a new color into the piece. So I've got this really pretty violet that's in my hand, so I'm going to blow up this area a ruckus right here so that we can really see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here with this really pretty violet, and I'm just going to shade the sides in here, just like so. And then I'm going to give it a little bit of deeper tension right on the outside edges, right there and right there. Now I'm going to grab my white pen now, or my white pencil rather, and I want to let you know that it's good if your pencil, the white pencil, is sharp for this particular part, because we're going to be working in narrow areas. And you can see what I'm doing is I'm laying in that white, but I'm kind of dipping into the violet on the sides, and you can see that it's kind of pulling up and giving it a creamier color, which I really, really like. Now what I'm also going to do is I'm going to come into the middle pieces of the rays of sunlight that we have in here, and I'm just going to do the same thing right there. So all I'm doing is going onto the edges, and I'm working with that light tension, and then I'll go in and add a little bit of deeper tension right on the edges of all of those. And then I'm going to grab that white pen now, or that white pencil, and I'm just going to pull that into a little bit of the violet so that I'm getting that rich creamy color that moves through the center there. So you can see that that gives it a really interesting appeal. Now I'm going to come back to this green that I started with, and I'm going to go ahead and use that green on the outside edges of those rays of sun. Oh, my lead is broken, so let's go ahead and give that a little cleanup here. So once I've got that all fixed up, you can hear that it's trying to get going. I'm going to come in now to the sides and give that a little bit of that light green just on the edges. And you can see how that light green is playing off of that purple, that really nice violet, yeah? Then I'll go in with the white again and get that to move through. Now once I have that, I'm going to grab some of that darker green that I had earlier just to give this a little bit of pop, and just dot the edges of the piece here. You can see that I'm just kind of going through and giving that a little bit of darkness right along the edges. And then finally I'll come back with that light green, and I'll just bring it through into these areas right here, just the same way that I did the purple. So I'm going to take that darker green, bring it onto the edges. And you can see it's a pretty narrow spot, so I really don't have a ton of area to work in. But Now you can see that when I go back in with the white, it pulls some of that light green in through there. Isn't that pretty? So we're going to do that in all 4 of the quadrants of a ruckus here. So you saw everything I just did here. We're just going to bring it on over here. Take a deep breath, sigh it on out, and go ahead and do the other parts. I'll see you soon. Okay, so we are going to begin to work on the background now. We've gone all the way around with the a ruckus, and now we're going to really start to fill in the back. So I've got a new contrast color that I'm going to be using, and it's a light yellowy orange that I'm going to use a darker orange to have as my contrast color. So whatever would work best for you. So if you're working with lots of purples, you may want to have a green background, or if you're working with, lots of reds, you may want to have a blue background. So whatever is really working for you today, that's what I want you to go with. And if you're just following along with me, you're welcome to just carry along. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a whole section of this piece so that you can see where we're going to go. So I'm going to start with this really nice kind of light orangish color, and you can see that I'm starting to fill in all around the ruckus, and I'm leaving the tipple alone so that it will have a different color later on. And all I'm doing is just filling in this little area in here to give it a little bit of depth, and also it will help with the brightness of the piece when we're done. So I'm going through and filling in that orange. I'm just not being too overly careful with it, because I know that when I'm all the way through with it, I'm going to be adding a lot more shading with the orange, so I don't have to be overly careful, but I don't want to get it into the tipple either. So you can see I'm working around the ruckus and I'm working around the tipple. So I've got that whole section completed now. So I'm just kind of getting in there and filling that in. Now I'm going to grab my orange and I'm going to start to shade around the leaves in here with that orange. And I'm going very, very lightly here. I'm not going really strongly with it. I just want to give it kind of a little bit of a glow, as it were. So you can see I'm going right in between the panels in a ruckus, and then I'm going to go all around the diamonds up in here. So you can see that I'm just kind of rolling through. Let me make that a little bit bigger so that you can really see what I'm up to here. I'm using that medium tension, so I'm not going overly hard with that color, and I'm just starting to fill in all throughout in here. Once I've done that, and you can see that I've got it all the way around the side there, I'm going to go back in and I'm going to add a little bit of darker tension hugging the black line. And you can see that that's giving it a really nice glowing effect, so that when I move the pencil around the tipple and around the diamonds, you can see that that's starting to pick up that kind of nice glowing cast. Just like that. And then I'm going to come in here and do the same thing all in here as well. So just getting in there, adding the shading and the light and the dark together. So you can see when I turn this here, all that contrast really adds to the piece. And you can see I'm going to come in here with that darkness and really get in there and really make it pop. Okay, so we're going to go all the way around the piece and do just that. So you can see now I'm going to go all in through here and do the same thing. So go ahead, grab your 2 colors, and let's get started. Okay, so you can see that I've had a chance to get all the way around the whole piece, and you can see here is all of that darker shading going all the way around, giving that a really nice glow all the way around the piece, which is really what we were going for. Really nice pop. So now what we're going to do is we're going to actually go back to our graphite pencil here for a moment, and we're going to start to work with the tipple. And one of the things that I really enjoy doing with color is adding graphite right next to it. It just gives it a pop that I really enjoy, and it has a nice elegance to it. So I'm just going to come in here and start to work with the tipple. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to shade halfway. Now, depending on how big your circles are, you may decide to do less or more. And then all I'm going to do is add a little bit of darkness right on the outside edge. Then I'll grab my white pencil and I'll add a little bit of white right in on that side. So you can see what I did was a light graphite and then a dark graphite and then the white. I'll do it one more time here for you. So here I am over here, adding some light graphite to half of that circle. Then I add a little bit of darkness right on the edge. And because it's such a small area, I don't want to use a tertian because I'm worried it'll make the whole thing black. So I'm going to come in here with that white pencil and just make it pop. Okay, so you're going to go around to all of your tipple in the piece and you're going to do the same exact thing. Now you might want to be mindful of your light source. So I know that my light source is coming in on the left hand side, so I may make all of my tipple have the light source on that same side. But listen, this is Zentangle and it's your world. I'm just living in it. So you could do it any way you want. There's no wrong way to do this. You can do it any way you want. Okay? All right. I will see you in a minute. Go ahead and do all those little tipples. See you soon. Okay, so I've gone through and I've done all the tipple, and now we're going to come to the final piece here with the white pen. So I have my white Signo pen and I'm going to start to work inside of the diamonds here. And just a FYI, these pens are really cantankerous and sometimes they get cranky going over the wax of the pens, so rather of the pencil. So have a piece of scratch paper nearby to help out. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start, and you can already see it was a little cranky with me. I'm just going to add a little bit of a V on one side here and then add a couple of dots. You can see that that's all I did is I looked for a little bit of the darkness in the V's. So I'm coming up here once again. I'm going to do a nice V, couple of dots, and then I'll just move down to the next one. So here I am, going right in and adding a couple of dots. Now this one needs a little extra help. Now one thing about this pen, the lighter you go, the more the ink flows, okay? So I'm going to go over to the other side. I'm going to do the same thing right over here. So all I'm doing is adding that V and then adding a couple of dots on either side. And it's starting to give it a really nice glow. So I'm going to come in here, do the same thing right here, couple of dots, and then I'll come right in here and do the same. Coming up and over here, so I'll just come right in, add a couple of dots, and then the same thing over here, adding a couple of dots. Make sure that you get a nice V in there. So you can see that that's already given this kind of a shimmery type of feel to the piece, which I really like. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start to work inside of the leaf. And if you need to pause me here, you can go ahead and pause me and then catch up to us, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to blow this up. And I'm just going to go right into this area right here. You can see that the circle is right there. And I'm just going to add a little bit of that white. And you can see that my pen just got a little cantankerous with me. So I'm just going to go ahead and get it started. And once I got it started, I'm going to use that in that circle. And then I'm just going to add a splash of white inside the dunce caps. I'm not going all the way into them, just adding a little splash of white. Then I'll add a little splash of white into each of those petals. So you can see I'm just adding a little splash of white into those petals. And so when I zoom out, you get the illusion that there's a lot more brightness in there. So you can see the difference between that one and that one. So you're going to go around to each one of your leaves and do the exact same thing. You'll start by going into the circle first, and then adding a splash of white into the petals and into the dunce caps. Okay, go ahead and do up those leaves and I'll see you in a minute. So once I've had a chance to go all the way around with the leaves, I'm going to start to work inside of the ruckus here. And you can see that I'm just going to add a little bit of white into each line just to give it a little bit of brightness. And I'll add a little bit of brightness into these pieces as well, just to give them a little bit more brightness. So I'm coming over here, doing the same thing into these lines, and I'm not going all the way through them. I'm just adding a touch of them right in between. Going right in here, adding a little bit of white into each line. Same thing right there, and same thing right there. Coming in over here, adding in a couple over here. So I'm really just being light-handed with it. I'm not going overboard with the white. Okay? Now, I'm also going to go into the tipple and add a little bit of like a dot of white inside of where the white is on the pencil, and that's just going to give it an extra shot of brightness in there. So I'm just lightly going around and adding a little dot here and there just to create a little bit more of that lightness inside of each of those tipple. And you can see that that's really kind of given this kind of an explosion feeling in the piece. It has a lot of energy. So go around, do your tipples, do a little bit of your a ruckus, and I'll see you in a minute. So I'm going to do the final pieces of white in this piece, and I'm coming down in towards the tip here, and I just want to get a little bit of lightness in towards the tip on those spears, just to give it a little bit of conciseness towards the center here. And then I'm going to start to work out into the border. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to all four corners here, and I'm going to bring in a good size dot into all four corners. So you can see that I'm just moving that around and giving that a dot there. Now what I'll start to do is I will start to bring some more dots into the border, and I'm being conscious of my spacing. I want them to have the same spacing so that it doesn't look random. It has more of a border quality to it, almost like a rivet. So you can see that I'm just going through and trying to add as much of the same spacing as I possibly can. And just moving through here as well. And being mindful of your hand. Remember, this is paint, so you don't want to cause your piece to smudge. So I'm going to turn my tile so that my hand doesn't brush over anything here. And I'm once again being very conscious of my spacing as I bring in those dots all the way around the piece here. Last part right in here with that white, and then we'll bring it into the very center. So once you've done those rivets all the way around the outside edge, you can see that that's brought a lot of energy into the piece as well. I'm going to go ahead and add white now all the way around that inner circle, and that's just going to bring our attention in towards the center of the piece here. So you can see that I'm adding that white in, and you'll notice, you know, early on in the piece I was talking about how my circle wasn't perfect and that I was okay with that. One of the great things about white and one of the great things about black is you can iron out any, you know, misgivings about imperfection in the piece here. So I'm letting that piece go, and if you need to pause me here, you can pause me. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep on moving through. So I'm going to come in, and I've got a little bit of a puddling pen here. I've got my Koi watercolor brush pen. I do love this pen. It's a great pen for puddling, but you can also use your Micron PN or a Micron brush pen. You can also use any of the Mono Twin Tombos. I love those as well. So I'm just going to come in here, and I'm going to add black right into the center piece here. And that's just really going to give this all kinds of drama. I find that whenever I use black inside of a piece, it just brings so much depth and groundedness into the piece itself. So there you have that nice puddled in thing. And what I'm doing in here is I'm actually being mindful and seeing if I can kind of clean up some of that circle there. You can see that I had some rough lines on the outside, and it's still not perfect, but it's just fine with me. I like the imperfections, honestly. So you can see that that just brings you straight into the center, which is so absolutely lovely. Okay. So we are nearing the end of our time together. And so the last thing that I think we need to do is we need to put our initial or our chop into the piece so that we can mark that this is the ending of our meditation together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide it right in here, because I like this idea of hiding my chop right in there. So I'm just going to take my little pen and put my R in there, and then that way I know that this is, you know, a chance for me to say, okay, I've finished the piece. This has been a time that I've had to take care of myself and to spend a little time in the present moment. It's a wild world these days, and any chance that we get to be in the present moment and relax is a good thing. So, with that said, if you are interested in anything Tangled Yogi related, you can always go and visit tangledyogi.com. We have a list of all of our YouTube classes there. And if you're interested in checking out the Maryland tile, it is in the Tangled Yogi shop. And the other thing that I want to talk about is, if you enjoyed the video, you can leave us a thumbs up on our YouTube page, or you could leave us a nice review. We are trying to up our internet exposure so that more people can find us. So it will help us with our online presence. So I thank you for that. So once again, we have come to an end, and I am so glad that you took this time to do the tile with me. And I hope to see you next time. So until we tangle again, I'm Rami Marks, your Tangled Yogi. Bye for now. And you can see that I've had a chance to hide my little initial right in here. I like to hide the initial inside of the piece. It's a way for me to complete when I'm done with my meditation. And I really do view each and every tile that I do as a meditation. So it's a time that I get to take care of myself and be in the present moment. It's a wild world out there, and any chance that we get to take time to slow down and just be present is really important. So go ahead and hide your initials somewhere inside of your piece. And if you enjoyed the video, please give us a thumbs up or a nice review on our YouTube here. We are trying to increase our online presence so more people can find the videos that we're doing. And if you are interested in checking out our tiles, you can always go to tangledyogi.com and check out the Tangled Yogi shop. We also have a listing of all of our YouTube videos there, so you can go and check out all the YouTube videos to have fun with, okay? So until we tangle again, I'm Rami Marks, your Tangled Yogi. I'll see you soon.